Hello, friends. This is Beata Seweryn-Reid. Welcome back to Meaningful Conversations Live. I come to you every Tuesday at noon Mountain Time, and I have always the best, the most exciting people on my show because I attract just the best people. A little bit sassy, sorry. Well, today I have with me Amanda Edwards. Amanda, welcome to the show. I'm so excited and having you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. I love what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have you here because I love what you are doing. And before I introduce you, I just gonna remind to our audience, it's live. You can ask questions right here on the spot. You have Amanda live. You don't have to type, emails and wait for weeks or whatever. Yeah, maybe email didn't get. You have her here. Please add the questions. What we're gonna talk about today? Today we are talking about time for what matters most. Time for what matters most. How easy is to forget in this busy life. Amanda, you are wild. Oh, I lost you for a second.
I'm here.
Imperfectly ambitious. It's your company, it's your podcast. But so tell us what you do. What is Amanda's story? How did you get from, take us a little bit back from where you were to where you are, helping, empowering women to take their lives in their own hands. Maybe what was for you the event, thought, or experience that you decided it's my time. It's what matters the most. I'm taking life in my own hands.
Yeah, absolutely. For the past couple years, I started to feel this pull, like there was something more. And let me kind of back up. I have been in corporate sales for 17 years. I have been with, the same company for a long time, and I love it. And I love what I do. I love my customers. I love who I work for. I love who I work with. And everything is great, right? I strive to be a leader in that world. And I try to, be able to continue to move forward and advance in my career. Everything on paper is great, but I kept feeling like there's something else I need to be doing. And I kept searching externally for what is the answer, right? Is it the next promotion? Is it the next, what is that? And trying to define in my mind either a position or a milestone that I'd have to get to, that whatever it is that I was striving for. And meanwhile, I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And so this kind of happened right before I got pregnant with my second child, my son. And the pull, it started with a whisper. And I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but you kind of feel this little nudge that's nudging at you, like there's something else you have to be doing. There's something else you have to be doing. And I had no idea what that was, but I just kept feeling it. And it was frustrating me because I'm like, Amanda, you always get yourself together. What is this? And through a lot of soul searching, a lot of podcast listening, I'm obsessed with podcasts, through, reading books and different personal development things, I kind of went on my own journey of really discovering that what it is that's going to fulfill me is a combination of what lights me up and what it is that I can bring to the table, what I do really well. And so it's self-awareness was that first step. And how can I combine those 2 things to deliver a greater impact? And I think the key for me is I realized that I need to start with a podcast. It occurred to me, I realized I love podcasts. They've changed my life. Some of the things I love to do in my job are teaching and messaging and communication and presenting and using my voice. And so now how can I bring that and create a greater impact for people? Right. And so that's why I started with the podcast, and I committed to being consistent and delivering value on a consistent basis. And from there, the rest would reveal itself. And that's what I feel so strongly about now is I still don't know. There's no end goal, right? But I know that I needed to start, and the next step will reveal itself. I always say you just have to start. Take the first step, and then the next step from there, and the next step from there. And as long as you are continuing to be self-aware and do things that are aligning with where you want to see yourself, you know, down the road, next year, 3 years, 5 years. And we always hear about that 10-year vision, and that's great, but I even think you can dial it back. Where do you want to be next year? What's the type of person you want to be? And then how do your actions align with that? And so here I am now with the podcast.
I love what you said, a lot of great things, but the question that you just asked, like you, whoever you are out there that is seeking that what is lighting you up, you have to ask who I am, who I want to become. That is beautiful question. So like you just mentioned, I'm just gonna take us a little bit back again, because life is busy. And even now we are at home, it seems even more busier, because if you are a mom and you have kids at school and you have to do it from home, plus running your business and the family and friends. And so how it can get, the life can get, the vision can get blurry. And, you know, sometimes I know from my own experience and with clients, and I'm sure you too, that sometimes we can't see this year from now. We can't see it. And 10 years, like, oh my gosh, I'm thankful that I'm alive today. So people are scary about this thinking farther. So how to untangle, how to clear up this confusion about what matters most and what is not that important?
Yeah, no, and that's a good question. I think as you think about what's the type of person you want to be, what does your, really dig into what does the ideal day look like for you? What are you doing? How are you being with your kids? Are you eating dinner together as a family, or are you traveling the world? Whatever your answer is to what your ideal days look like, then what you need to do is start right now and look at a year from now. What could be a goal? It doesn't mean a year from now you're traveling the world or you have complete time and money freedom a year from now, but a year from today, what could a goal be? And then what happens is you take that goal and you break it into little kind of micro goals, right? And each micro goal, then you could kind of, if you picture a calendar, plop that into a month on the calendar. What is your goal for next month? What's your goal for October, for November? And then from there, you can drill down into little weekly goals and then daily goals. And so a Sunday might look like you spend 10 minutes on a Sunday time blocking some time on your calendar for the week of your most important things for work and for personal life. So for example, I even will time block, my daughter needs some one-on-one time, right? Because she has a brother and they compete for attention. So I time block in a special dinner date with my daughter at the park, you know, to make sure that, because if you're not intentional and mark that time down, inevitably things will come in and take out that time. So I think you just being really clear on what your weekly priorities are. If you break it down to not be overwhelming, forget about even, you know, the long-term goals. What are your weekly priorities? What do you want to be? How do you want to show up this week? What is going to move the needle for you in a relationship, in your personal life, or in your business? And then really be intentional about accomplishing that task. And I mean, meaning block that off, right? And then guard that time. And I think that people get just, so caught up in the to-do list, and you have these long lists and it gets overwhelming. And by the time the week is over, you're looking at the list that you maybe checked off something that didn't really matter, but then you've added 5 things. And that's what gets you feeling like, oh my goodness, I wasn't productive. We feel productive when we can focus on an important task and then finish it, right? That's when we feel most productive.
So from what I hear, very important is the planning, the organizing. So do you write it down or you use online calendar?
Yeah,
Yes. So
I use both. I have an online calendar for kind of I always say everybody else's appointments, right, are on my online calendar, whether it's a meeting with somebody else, a call with somebody else, dentist appointments, everything is on my online calendar. But me personally, I still have a good old paper planner where I write out my important work. And that's the stuff that I know I want to get done on top of everything else. And that's what I write in. I write in for the week these things, and I literally go in and I X them off after they're done. Maybe you're on a health journey or continued fitness journey, and you want to be sure that you're working out 5 days a week for a half an hour. That's really important to you because that's going to help you meet a goal of whatever that goal might be. And so you need to physically go in there and write that down, block out that time on your calendar so you see it, so that time's protected, so that you don't schedule something else, in that time.
Okay. Okay, Amanda, I'm gonna put you on the spot, I guess, here, because we all know if you do the work, you know how you got here, and you know that maybe there is time for some changes, and you get on the path and you start planning, because if you don't plan for yourself, somebody else will. So just start planning. But we all know about this knowing doing gap. So how to close that gap, because we all know sometimes we are so clear on what we should do and we still postpone and procrastinate. So please give us some light on that.
I know. The knowing and doing gap, as you were asking that question, what comes to mind is that's all in here, right? Because you have to, here's what got me to actually doing it. When I realized, it became clear kind of what I wanted to do in this by way of this podcast, but then actually doing it, I asked myself the question, do I want to be 80 years old in my rocking chair and look back on my life and live with the regret that I never moved forward or I never acted on what I knew I needed to do? Because I think if we're all honest with ourselves, you kind of feel this pull for more. You feel like there's something you should be doing, but you kind of you're like, oh, I don't know what it is. And I would challenge you and say, I think you do. I think we're afraid of saying it, because then when we say it, then we have to act on it, right? Then we're almost accountable. If we verbalize something, if I tell you I'm going to start a podcast, I'm more accountable now to do it. So we would kind of do this whole, oh, I don't know, but you do. And so to answer your question, to close the gap is you have to figure out what is going to pull you through that. Like, to me, it was my clear, deeply rooted why of I feel so strongly that showing my kids that, you know what, you've been given gifts, but it's up to you to put them to work. There are a lot of things we can't control right now. If you're feeling a pull, that's there for a reason, right? And so you figure out what that is and you take the first step. And it's the only way I can tell them that all day long, but I have to show them that. And so it's really tapping into something like that, on top of me just having that vision of at the end of my life thinking, am I going to look back on regrets if I don't do this? And the answer is absolutely yes. And why? Because usually it's because you're afraid of what somebody else is going to say or what somebody else is going to think, or that you're not going to succeed right away. And then what are they going to say? Well, we always hear, are those the people that are going to be there at the end of your life? No. And so that's the answer, is you have to tap into something like that.
So from what I'm hearing now, it's you have to have values. So clarity, values, what is important for you. And we all get busy with life. We could be busy probably 24/7, but it's important to ask these questions to yourself. And what am I actually busy with? Is it productive, or is it gonna take me where I want to at the end of the day, or it's just postponing because it's not that important? So I think from what you just said, this also verifying, do I invest my time in the right actions? Do I want, because what is the goal at the end?
Because I think it's easy to distract ourselves too, right? With busy work.
Right.
And we do it. Sometimes we realize it, sometimes we don't. But you put off the things that you know you need to do that are going to move the needle, but you distract yourself with the busy work. And then at the end of the day, you haven't moved forward. And I think one thing to note too is that not everything is created equal. And we can get so overwhelmed because of all these things that we should be doing. But I think somebody told me once, and it's so true, we all have so many balls in the air. You're doing so many things, especially that, remember, set the expectation. There are times you're going to drop the ball. You're not going to do everything perfectly, right? You're going to drop the ball, but somebody said, just know what balls are glass and which ones are rubber, because there are certain glass balls that if you drop, you can't recover from. The other ones you'll recover from, and it's going to be okay. But it's really believing that. And so you don't have all this pressure on yourself thinking like, I have 20 things I need to do today. No, you don't. If you really broke it down and you really thought through this, you might have 1 or 2 that you need to do today. And those are the things that are going to move the needle. And regardless of how busy any of us are, when it comes down to it, you have maybe 1 or 2 things you have to do today, you know? And so I think that's a huge perspective shift that really helped for me once I really grasped it.
I love the visual that you just talk about, this glass balls and rubber balls. Like,
yeah.
You can recover from some, but how about the others? So we have to be very conscious what we invest our time and thoughts, because you also mentioned that it's all in here. Our mindset is so important. So do you have any rituals that you do for yourself to help to stay focused on the tasks?
Yeah, so I do. And before I started the podcast, I would go down, and I still do this. I've modified it a little bit, but in the morning, because mind you, there's a corporate job, there's a podcast, there's kids. And I will say, and I know some people don't like to hear this, but I get up early. Now, it doesn't mean you have to get up early, but the point is that you do have to reserve the time. So I would get up early, and I would have mapped out a little task in the morning that might take me 20 to 30 minutes as I was getting prepared to launch my podcast, but I would know that task in advance. I wouldn't take the morning to research the task. I would know, okay, this is what I'm going to do for 20 or 30 minutes. And if you do 20 or 30 minutes a day, I'm telling you how that compounds in a month, in a year. That's amazing. So I think people can get so overwhelmed by thinking like, I just don't have the time. How could you even think about starting something else right now or adding something to your plate? But it is all in consistency in a small block of time. You'd be surprised at how much you can get done. So that was my ritual. In the morning, I would focus on a task at hand that would help me move the needle forward. I would write out 10 things that I would say that I am, or are big goals. Like I would say, I am a patient mom. I'm an, excellent wife. I have a top-rated podcast, like all these things that I wanted to be true for my life and that I wanted to like live day to day.
Right.
And what I would see my life like in the future, I would write that down so that everything you do then would align with that. And so that literally would take 3 minutes in the morning. I would write down 10 things. And then I would have my task at hand, 20 to 30 minutes that I would be doing that would help me move forward on one of those things that I wrote down. And so then you just look back and it's amazing, I'm simplifying it for the sake of this, but that's really what it was. I would plan out on Sundays in advance I would create the different 20 to 30 minute tasks and I would put them into the week. So that way, like I said, I'd wake up early, but I already knew what I was doing. I just had to look at my calendar and say, okay, this is what I'm doing for this 20 to 30 minutes. And I would get up before the kids get up, because I can't, if I get woken up by my kids, that's what starts the day. And then you're just on reactive mode, right? So
right.
I would just get up, get that stuff taken care of. And then I was refreshed and feeling like I accomplished something that I needed to, that's kind of outside of my day-to-day life, right? Because then I'd get the kids up and then I'd, go to work and juggle everything else. So.
Wow. Yeah. So you just said also another beautiful and important thing, that creating this me time, just me, and following the task that you have for the day or maybe for the week, depends, and writing it down. I love that you said you write it down, because writing actually engages our mind, and it makes us, from my own experience, makes us actually more focused on what has to be accomplished today.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely agree. And then, you know, you write it down, and then now you kind of over time, then you have this, it's a journal essentially, right? Then you look back and you're going, wow, a lot of this stuff has happened, you know? And so, but it does, there's something to writing it and really just putting it down on paper. It's being intentional again. Yeah.
I'm big person on journaling. So yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
So the other thing that I know about you is that you are helping women accept that you help them to take their own life in their own hands. You also help them to create their own version of success. It's what you say. I help them to create their own version of success. What is success for you?
You know, success for me is feeling fulfilled, feeling like I can be present with my family, feeling like I'm contributing. I'm able to get clarity around what it is that I can contribute in a bigger way. I think it goes back to what are gifts that I have, and what do I love to do, and how can I package that together to create value for other people. That's success for me. And feeling like I can do that, and all the while, you know, have my family and my kids and everything else that people, you know, it's part of that success, but really it's being able to deliver things that I love and I feel strongly about and that can make an impact on other people's lives. That's success. And then the rest, I mean, you know, whether it's freedom, money, all of that, I feel like that will eventually follow. I think people get, you know, you can get so focused on that versus really flipping that and look at how can you really deliver value in a way that feels authentic to you and that lights you up and that you're happy and there's an energy about it to you. If you do that, if you focus on that, the other things will come and money will come, you know? And so that's why that's not what defines success. It's kind of flipping it.
From all what you said, to achieve that, two characteristics pop up to me. You said repetition and consistency.
Yeah.
So you have to repeat over and over to focus your mind and your actions towards what you want to achieve, and stay consistent with it day after day, one day at a time, and do not back up. Life is now.
Yeah, consistency and intentionality, and it doesn't have to be, it can be small steps, but you have to be consistent. And like I said, 20 minutes a day of something that right now you're not doing any of, 20 minutes a day, that's more than an hour a week. That's more. And so all of that adds up, and think of all the things that could be done in that time if you're really intentional with that time. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's life or business, because if you are thinking about changing careers or starting a new career because of what's happening now, maybe it's time when you decided to make a huge change. It's the same. You have to get clear. You have to know what matters and take actions, stay focused, consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever the goal is for you, whatever you want for your life right now, that it applies, whether it's personal or business, and breaking that down into tasks and into small tasks that you can easily kind of incorporate into your daily life right now, but be intentional and consistent. Again, definitely.
And put it on calendar or journal or whatever you.
Otherwise it doesn't exist. It falls off. Like for me, everybody's so busy, and that's just the nature of it, right? And so that's why you really have to put it down. It's true.
That is so true. Amanda, let me see. Thank you everyone for being here with us. I've seen someone. Oh, there is hi Fanny. Oh, this is my new friend. I love her. She's doing such a great stuff. We have Nancy saying good morning. Thank you, Nancy, for being here with us. We have Garlene, my friend, which is awesome as well. Iboya, Olya, please ask questions, ladies. Don't be shy. We have this master of creating beautiful and abundant life. So it's your chance to ask. Anyway, what is your one advice that you would encourage people to do? Maybe it can be quote, it can be your own thought, or whatever lights your heart up that will cause them to actually take the responsibility for their own life, and they will just leave the couch and start doing.
Yeah, dig down deep. And we all know what are you going to sit in that rocking chair someday wishing you would have done? You have something. We all do. So dig into that and just start without seeing the whole picture perfectly. Figure out what the first step is and start there. You just have to start.
I love it. Just start.
Yeah.
Figure out just the next step. And I love that you said it, because we are from A to B. You don't even have to see where the B is at the moment. Maybe it's blurry, but take the first step, and you use it often. Don't wait. Don't wait till you are ready. I love what you talk a lot about that. Don't wait till you're ready, because probably you will never be really ready.
You'll always find a reason why you're not ready. It's never going to be the right time. It's never going to be the right circumstances. So you have to create it. You just have to do it.
Absolutely. We have some people joining us. This is my sister from Poland.
Oh.
Hi, sister. And my friend, Kasia. Hello, ladies. Hello,
Hi.
Kasia. Thank you for being here with us. We are talking about time for what matters most. So, Kasia, if you have questions, please ask us now, because we are almost over. And, well, in the meantime, I want to say thank you again, Amanda, for being here. And for everyone who would like to get in contact with you, to get to know you more, what is the best way to reach out?
Well, again, thank you. I love what you're doing, and you're so consistent with it, which I think is awesome every week. But you can find me at imperfectlyambitious.com, or find me on Instagram at imperfectly_ambitious. And my podcast is Imperfectly Ambitious. So I would love to have you listen and love to connect with you. Thank you,
Yes,
Beata.
please.
I so appreciate this.
Absolutely. Please reach out. Find out listen to the podcast. You will know right away how great job and how important her job is, except that she's wife, mother, a business owner, and she has corporate success as well. So she's busy lady. So if you feel like you are busy and you cannot catch up, please reach out. And thank you so very much. I'm so honored to have you here. Can't wait to have you back. And to everyone who is watching me, supporting today and ever, please spread the word with other people. You never know who might need to hear it. I will be here next Tuesday at noon Mountain Time with another great guest. So please send me your feedback, send questions, and have a meaningful life. It's all in your hands. What is the most important for you? What matters most? It's what I'm going to leave you today with. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Beata. Thank you, everybody.